एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निर्भौ निर्वैर अकाल मूरत जूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद जप आद सच जुगाद सच है पी सच नानक होसी पी सच कहाँ बुध प्रभ तुछ हमारी बरन सकै महिमा जो तिहारी हम ना सख्त कर सिफत तुम्हारी आप लिहो तुम कथा सुधारी हम ना सख्त कर सिफत तुम्हारी आप लिहो तुम कथा सुधारी। सतनाम श्री वाहिगुरु साहिब जी दोहरा कह दीवाना वह गयो सुन आयो जय राम तो बहनों सतगुर है सुल्तानपुर है जिस धाम कह दीवाना वह गयो। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। Guru Roop, Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, we're joined here today to commemorate the history of our Shaheeds, the history of our Gurus through the Katha of Panth Parkash. So Panth Parkash, for those of you who are hearing it for the first time, is the history of the Khalsa Panth written by Bhai Rattan Singh Pangu, who was the grandson of Sardar Mehtab Singh and Sham Singh, who were two of the most famous Sikh warriors of the 1700s. When the British first arrived in India and interacted with the Sikhs, in the early 1800s, they made efforts to understand the Sikhs, to understand the Khalsa Panth. And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji, coming from an aristocratic Sikh family who had bled throughout the Sikh struggles of the 1700s, was tasked with narrating the history of the Khalsa Panth to the British such that it could be sent to the King in England and all around the world where the British Empire was ruling. So, ये जो गुर खालसे पंथ दा इतिहास है, ये शुद्ध है, it is truthful, it is written from our perspective, and with the Sangat's blessing now, the Katha has been continuing in English. So the Katha has touched previously on the coming of Guru Nanak Dev Ji into this earth as the true Lord Sovereign. And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji, in coming to build a picture for us of why did Guru Gobind Singh Ji create the Khalsa Panth? What is it that Guru Gobind Singh Ji tasked the Khalsa Panth to do? And what great achievements did the Khalsa Panth accomplish in the 1700s, such that they went from being a small persecuted minority to ruling one of the greatest empires of the time. So Bhai Rattan Singh Ji in their history very briefly covers the history of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And the reason they cover this history very briefly is Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says so many granths at this time have already been written on Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So if we want to know the history of Guru Nanak Dev Ji in more detail, we have Sri Nanak Parkash by Kavi Santokh Singh, which draws on Janam Sakhiyan and other earlier literature. So Sadh Sangat Ji, ਆਪਾਂ ਜੇ ਅੱਜ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹ ਸਾਖੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟਾ ਰੂਪ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਸਲ ਸਾਖੀਆਂ ਗੁਰ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਦੀਆਂ गुरु दी शब्दां दी अथाणका आ, वो पुरातन ग्रंथां विचों ही मिलदी है, जिवें जन्म साखी होई जां नानक प्रकाश होई, ते पंथ दा इतिहास पंथ प्रकाश विच है। These are the original sources. And now we have to use discerning intellect. जदों आपां इतिहासक ग्रंथ पढ़दे हां जां सुणदे हां, उत्थे सानूं आपदी विवेक बुद्धि वरतनी पैंदी आ, because we are reading it from a perspective of 200 years, 300 years of conditioning. And this is why these granths, the Katha is done within the historic institutions of the Sikhs, where one is first
versed in understanding Gurbani, the living tradition of the Khalsa Panth, and then explaining and understanding our history within that context from where we are able to take inspiration and apply it to our lives today. So what is the inspiration that we can take from today? ਕੀ ਤੱਤ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੁਰ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕੱਢਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ? Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says that hearing the stories of the Gurus and our ancestors of the Khalsa Panth, hearing the stories of how they fought against some of the mightiest empires of the world and turned, they were the David and the David versus Goliath. They were the small minority. They were the oppressed people. They were those sparrows that went on to fight hawks. And all of these famous stories that speak to these metaphors, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us in Panth Parkash. But as a Gurmukh, as a Gursikh, his primary purpose is joining us with Guru Granth Sahib Ji. His primary purpose is joining us with the message of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And for this reason, when Bhai Rattan Singh Ji begins telling Captain Murray, who was a political agent at Ludhiana, Captain Murray, जो उस टाइम अंग्रेज दा एजेंट सी लुधियाने दे विच, जो भाई रतन सिंह नाल विचार करदे सी, भाई रतन सिंह जी ने जरूरी जानिया कि इहनूं पहलां आपां गुरु नानक देव जी बारे दसीए भी गुरु नानक देव जी कौन सी, गुरु नानक किन्ने महान सी, गुरु नानक दियां की करामातां सी. And only then, from understanding the greatness of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, will the British be able to understand how it was that the followers of Guru Nanak Dev Ji went on to rule the continent at the time. So the history from where we pick it up on to today has covered the coming of Guru Nanak Dev Ji into this earth as Nirankar, as the complete form of God. And now Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us about Guru Nanak Dev Ji's life as they got older. One other thing that we are very fortunate to be in the Darbar of Guru Sahib Ji today is that today is also Basant Panchami. So for those of you that do not know, in the Sikhi calendar, we know all the dates, we know when Christmas is, Boxing is, Easter is, May Day is, and what have you else. But for Sikhs, in what we call Jantriya calendars, if you pick one of these up printed by one of the older Sikh institutions, organizations or bodies, you will find all the days of the month, Panchami, Dasmi, Puranmashi, Matsya, Sangrand. These are 5 days in the month when Gursikhs would come together in satsang. And of all the Panchamis, Basant Panchami is the most Mahan. It is the most glorious. So at this time of year in Sikhi, or rather in Punjab, and in Sikhi actually, it is a very dark time. It is a dark time because in the months of January we have celebrated the Shahidi of the Sahibzade, the youngest sons of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, who were bricked alive and slaughtered mercilessly by the Mughals. And as we come over that dark time, as in Punjab we come out of the season of Po and enter the season of Magh, the darkest time and the coldest time of the year has come to an end, and we are already now in transition for readiness of spring. So Basant Panchami is a spring festival, and today I see a trend amongst many of us in the UK in particular, where when it comes to any cultural Punjabi event, we bang the drum of this is a cultural event, it has nothing to do with Sikhi. I would say that we must invest some energy in actually understanding how the cultural events of Punjab, where Sikhi came from, interlinked with religious festivals. For example, Vaisakhi was a cultural festival when the Khalsa was created, so we have now a clear connection between the religious festival and the cultural festival. And similarly with Lohri, in recent times Lohri may be a tradition that we see now people spending endless amounts of money on celebrating the birth of their sons, belittling essentially women and their birth. Yes, we can disregard the gender-based discrimination that it promotes within that, but it's a festival that gives thanks to God. It is a festival that gives thanks to God, that crosses the Hindu religion, the Muslim religion and the Sikh religion. And similarly, Basant Panchami we find was a festival celebrated by Muslims, Hindus and Sikhs at the time. And in fact, when Maharaja Ranjit Singh was the empire, he personally would donate money to Harmandir Sahib for this festival to be celebrated each year. And also Guru Gobind Singh Ji got married to Mata Jito Ji on this day. So it is a day of great celebration. So here we have a wonderful example of where an existing cultural tradition as Sikhi grows and flourishes in the Punjab, and then ultimately establishes an empire where we have Rag Basant Darbars, the celebration of Guru Gobind Singh Ji's wedding, Basant Panchami at Harmandir Sahib and many other Gurdwara. We see Sikhi taking its place and embedding its practices and teachings and its traditions in amongst these cultural traditions, and perhaps that is the mindset that we must also take today, rather than being quick to diminish any links between our own faith and the wider cultural religions that do cross religious boundaries. So the Katha now, on this auspicious day, picks up on Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who, having in the previous prasang covered the avatar, now speaking about Guru Nanak Dev Ji as they've become older. Hanji.
Dohra keh diwana hai gyo sun ayo jai Ram.
And at this time everyone thinks Guru Nanak Dev Ji is a Davana. Guru Nanak Dev Ji is one who, anyone who exhibits some level of saintliness or godliness is often perceived by the world as mad. And in Gurbani, this is embraced by the Bhagats and the Gurus and the writers of Gurbani, where they openly proclaim that yes, to the world we are mad. We are mad. We are Mastane. We have become Baurane. We are Davane. And in this way, as Guru Nanak Dev Ji's father, who we learned in the previous prasang, was gearing Guru Nanak Dev Ji towards a life of taking care of the family, of developing a business, becoming accomplished in the world as Guru Nanak Dev Ji's family was. As Guru Nanak Dev Ji's path became different, Baba Kaluji was keen to push Guru Nanak Dev Ji into this line of work, and so they speak and consult with their son-in-law, the husband of Bibi Nanaki, Bhai Rattan Singh, as to what they can do to Guru Nanak Dev Ji to help steer them at this time of adulthood that they have entered.
And
Jairam was from Sultanpur, so Guru Nanak Dev Ji's sister was married to Jairam, and Jairam resided in Sultanpur, where he had a very good position, a government position in the army of Daulat Khan at that time. And Sultanpur was a territory that was ruled by the Mughals at that time. Sultanpur was also a very accomplished territory. It was a very accomplished town. It was a very accomplished city. It had many dharamsalas, it had many vidyalas, it had many places of learning. And it is said that Aurangzeb himself visited this place to learn from.
Daulat Khan naam kehta hu.
And Daulat Khan, who was the governor of this land. Now, we've touched previously on the enmity, essentially, that existed between Sikhs and the Muslims in the 1800s. And we use the word enmity because one was attacking and killing the other, and the other was fighting to survive itself. So whereas we do seek to rise above enmity, when one is being killed and such divisions are being drawn by human beings, we see the Sikhs adapting and using language that Bhai Rattan Singh Ji has within their Granth to reflect that. But yet equally, where there were Muslim followers of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, equally where there were Muslims who recognized the divinity of the Guru, equally where there were Muslims who recognized Sikhi as the flourishing truth of that time and giving it that space, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji mentions them within their Granth. And Daulat Khan was one of these Muslims who was a very senior government official who went on to become the governor of Lahore at that time, was who Bhai Jairam was in employment with. And at that time he was the Nawab of Sultanpur, and Jairam took Guru Nanak Dev Ji, their brother-in-law, to meet with the Nawab. So Guru Bhai Mehta Kalu Ji, who was very educated, remember Guru Nanak Dev Ji's family was the family that had once ruled Lahore and had done tapasya, so that God had prayed and meditated so that God themselves would take birth within their family. And when Akal Purkh gave them darshan, Akal Purkh said, if I am to take birth in your home, then you must give up this rule and become essentially ordinary folk. But yet they were very skilled and very talented, and amongst their knowledge was the knowledge of language, the knowledge of accounts, the knowledge of managing lands and great affairs. So hearing of this accomplished family that Guru Nanak Dev Ji came from, hearing of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's skill and knowledge that they had, he saw it fit that Guru Nanak Dev Ji be employed within the Modi Khaana. So the Modi Khaana is a store, and the job of the Modi, the job of the keeper of the store, is for landlords who would, for rather farmers, kisan. ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਆਪਦਾ ਦਾਣਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ, when they would bring their grain, they would have to give some of that as an offering and tax to the central reserve, and then from there Guru Nanak Dev Ji would distribute that to the armies of Daulat Khan. So a very important task, making sure that food is coming in from the farmers and that it is going out to the armies of Daulat Khan, and then whatever is left Guru Nanak Dev Ji was to sell. So this was the job of the ਮੋਦੀ ਖਾਨਾ। ਹੁਣ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਬੇਈਮਾਨੀ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਆ ਦੁਕਾਨਦਾਰੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਕੋਈ ਵੱਧ ਘੱਟ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਨੇ। But for this reason, Guru Nanak Dev Ji is a saintly person, is a highly trusted person, was seen as fit for this position by Daulat Khan.
ਸਭ ਉਸकी ਜੋ ਕਥਾ ਕਥਿਆ।
And the Katha of Guru Nanak Dev Ji at the Modi Khana. So for example, it is said that Guru Nanak Dev Ji, when they would give out grains to the poor, Guru Nanak Dev Ji ਮਿਣ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਤੇਰਾ 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 ਕਰਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਵਰਤਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਗਰੀਬਾਂ ਨੂੰ। ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਕੌਤਕ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ। ਭਾਈ ਰਤਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ says that if I was to tell you even just about Guru Nanak Dev Ji's time as a storekeeper, then this granth would become huge. And for this reason, Bhai Rattan Singh summarizes some of these verses and refers us to other sources that we can go to. Anji.
और ग्रंथ कहूँ ढूंढत पाइए।
Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says, if I was to start going into length and depth of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, then this granth would become very extensive.
जिसको लोड सुनन की होए।
Whoever needs to or wants to learn these stories, Anji.
और ग्रंथन को ते सुन ले सोए।
और ग्रंथा तो सुन लवे। So जिमें जन्म साखियां होए ते गुरु नानक प्रकाश होए। So for many of us, we come to the Gurdwara maybe once a week or once a month to listen to Katha. And in this Gurdwara, we have Katha in the first Thursday of every month and the last Thursday of every month. But it's not just these 2 days that we come to listen to Katha. The Rani of Pratan Gursikhs was to listen to Katha every day. So in the Nahang Singh Dals, in the Taksals, in the Sampradas, and in the Sant Deri, what happens is at one time of the day there is Katha of Gurbani, and at another time of day there is Katha of Guratiyas. So these two things were seen as something that Gursikhs should immerse themselves in, to be immersed within understanding Gurbani and immersed within understanding your history. Such was the importance placed on these things. And Bhai Rattan Singh is telling us, Unu suno. They're not saying to us, Unu jaake padho. Kyun hona ajkal grantha nu padh lende a te man de jhagde vad jande a. People think just by some of these granths, picking these up, we'll be able to learn. Where people learn these granths, the institutions that they would learn, and they would often learn many languages. They would learn Gurbani, they would learn Gursikhi, they would learn Raitname, they would learn discrepancies between historical manuscripts, and all of that would go into your understanding of this granth and how to explain it. So it is good to have these original granths accessible to yourself, but Bhai Rattan Singh Ji is giving us wise advice here when he's saying listen to these granths from learned people. And I think it also speaks volumes of Bhai Rattan Singh Ji's humility of where they are going to this effort to write the granth, that they are signposting us to the other literature that is available to Gursikhs of that time.
बीज मात्र जो चाहियत लिखाई।
But Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says, I would tell you some of this history in a very short form.
सुनो मरी सो जिम मैं कही।
And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says, as I narrated to Captain Murray, I will tell you this ityas. So remember when Captain Murray, is the political agent of Ludhiana, had come to Bhai Rattan Singh Ji and said to Bhai Rattan Singh Ji, tell me who gave the Khalsa Raj. And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji said, oh, it's a very easy answer. It was Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And he said, well, Guru Nanak Dev Ji was a saint, How could he have anything? He doesn't know about politics. He was telling Captain Murray, you're becoming confused, you don't know history, 200-300 years, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji wasn't a king, he was a saint. And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says to Captain Murray, he was the king of kings, he was the true king, he was the Lord Sovereign, and it is with his blessings that the Sikhs became kings. So Bhai Rattan Singh Ji began telling Captain Murray as they developed a friendship about Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and he says to Captain Murray, and he says to us as his Gursikhs, because remember, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says throughout this Granth, listen my Gursikhs, listen my beloved, listen my brothers. He is trying to ensure he is acting as a bridge. He is telling us, look, all these older Gursikhs who bled for the Panth used to come to my house when I was a kid. I heard these stories firsthand from them, and now listen to these so that you too can know this history and share it with your children. The Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who was doing very well as a storekeeper, developed within him a sense of adas. So adas means a sense of being detached. It means to have bairag. It means to have a greater longing for something that it is not currently within our experience of this world. It is when we realize within us that there is a void, and when we realize that that void can only be filled by Paramatma, and that can only be filled by turning away from the world and turning inwards and becoming more inwardly focused, becoming detached from the world and developing a loving longing for union with that oneness. This is the adas that Guru Nanak Dev Ji started to experience. And this grew in intensity. That as Guru Nanak Dev Ji was, as we know, working in the Modi Khaana, when we said that they would say Tera, Tera, Paramatma da na leke aada sara karaj kari gaye, that they had no other interest for anything else but the name of God and remembering God and union with that Akal Purkh. So every day Guru Nanak Dev Ji used to go for Ishnan in the river, the Nadi Bias. So here the spot where Gurdwara Bear Sahib is in Sultanpur is a river, the Bai Nadi, which flows into the Bias and the Satluj. So here Guru Nanak Dev Ji used to go for Ishnan every day in the morning. Now the Gurus did as they preached. Amrit Vile da jada Ishnan, to get up early in the morning and bathe, is something that is seen as purifying, not just physically cleansing but mentally and spiritually cleansing as well, because it is a very peaceful time to immerse yourself first within purification and then meditation upon the divine. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji, whoever was in their company, whether it was by Balaji, whether it was by Mardana Ji, whether it was a Hindu, whether it was a Muslim, or whether it was one of the Nafar, one of the Noktar, one of the workers at the Modi Khana, even they became, or even whether it was Daulat Khan, the governor himself, all of high rank, low caste, Hindu or Muslim began becoming the disciples of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And in this way, the attendants of Guru Nanak Dev Ji wouldn't just see to them at the store, they would accompany him to the Ishnan at Amrit Villa as well. And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us that on this particular day, Guru Nanak Dev Ji went into the Nadi and decided to, what we call in Punjabi, a chubbi. When you sink yourself in, often hold your breath for a few seconds and come out. So often people do this in a sarovar. When you walk into a sarovar, you go in, immerse yourself completely, come out. You go in, you immerse yourself completely, and you come out. So in this way, Guru Nanak Dev Ji immersed themselves within the water. Hanji. And a kadi, a pahar. So in Gursikhi, the measures of time are quite precise. So in English, maybe you have millisecond, second, minute, hour. In Gurmukhi, you have pahar and you have kadiyan. Some of these are 3 hours, some of these are 6 hours, some of these are 1.5 hours. And even in seconds, you have many measures. So as these come up in Katha, we will go through these. But Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us that in this way, a great amount of time passed, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji remain immersed underneath the water. Dohra usi nafar ne be'as hoye rolo dino paye. And after such a great amount of time passed, Guru Nanak Dev Ji's attendant became worried that Guru Nanak Dev Ji had not yet surfaced.
डुबियो डुबियो कह उठियो सुन दौलत खां गियो धाई.
And he began crying out, Guru Nanak Dev Ji has drowned, Guru Nanak Dev Ji has drowned, come to our help. And in this way he ran to Daulat Khan, who was the ruler of Sultanpur.
चौपई तहां जाए तिन जाल पवाई.
And Daulat Khan, who remember was the governor, he had under his command vast armies. He gathered his men together, they pulled nets together, and they began placing these nets in the water to try and see that if Guru Nanak Dev Ji has drowned, then let us recover Guru Nanak Dev Ji's body.
होए पयो तो उन हाथ आए.
But Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says that where Guru Nanak Dev Ji was, their reach would not go. So in the Samprada Katha of Japji Sahib, in the Mool Mantra Katha, where we speak of the origins of the Mool Mantra, it is said at this time when Guru Nanak Dev Ji was immersed within the Nadi, when they were immersed within the water, they had a union with Akal Purkh. So in very simple terms in English, some people refer to this time period as the time that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was enlightened. That clearly is in our language, and while it represents something and a basic understanding of what might have happened at this time, it is important, as we've said before, that we understand these events and the narratives around them from the context within our own traditions. So the Samprada say that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was Akal Purkh. The Samprada say that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was Narayan, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was Nirankar, and Gurbani, whether it is Guru Granth Sahib Ji, आप नारायण कलातार जग में परवरियो, गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी's Bani, and Sarvlok Granth Sri Guru Nanak आप परमेश्वर अवतार लियो शुद्ध वंश प्रधाना, tells us that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was God. So what happens here then when in simple English times we say Guru Nanak Dev Ji became enlightened? Guru Nanak Dev Ji Bairag, their longing for Akal Purkh, their longing of the one that was the greater form of them, on that day became realized. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji met with Akal Purkh, and it is said that at this point, Akal Purkh said that Main hu Par Brahm Parmeshwar, I am the primal formless Lord who exists beyond form. You are Guru Parmeshwar. You are Parmeshwar in the form of Guru. You are my form. You are the same as me. But whereas I exist as the transcendental, whereas I exist as the one who is beyond form, you are me as the Guru. You are there to deliver truth to the world. There is no difference between you and me. And Par Brahm Parmeshwar Brahm gave Guru Nanak Dev Ji Mool Mantra from Ek Onkar Satnam Karta Purkh Nirpau Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Saipang Gur Prasad. So this is known as the Maha Mantra. Some people say that the Mool Mantra is up to this point. If we ever go to Harmandir Sahib, as we stand outside as we join the line, the Darshani Deori at the start, if you look above that, you'll see in gold-plated Mool Mantra written until Nanak Hosi Pi Sach. So this is known as the Maha Mantra. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji, when they gave this mantra to the Sikhs, they didn't say to the Sikhs, God told me to meditate on this, but you meditate on this. Whatever khajana they had brought from Sachkhand, they gave to us. But as the Guru who gave us their Guru Prasad, what was that Prasad that they gave us? They told us, Jap, Ad Sach, Jugad Sach, Happy Sach, Nanak Hosi Pi Sach, that meditate upon the divine, the one who's true throughout the ages, since before time began, and until after even time is no longer there. So as Gur Sikhs, Gur Sikh, we believe in Paramatma. Our Guru is the form of that Paramatma, and we read not just the Maha Mantra, but the Mool Mantra, including the Shabad that Guru Nanak Dev Ji has given us, because our Guru and God are one. So that's why as Gur Sikhs we read the complete Mool Mantra. And in this way, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us that Guru Nanak Dev Ji could not be found with those nets because he had gone to a place where the human hand could not reach.
लोक कहे कहूँ पार लंघ गयो.
And when they could not recover Guru Nanak Dev Ji's body, people began to say that Guru Nanak Dev Ji's body must have surfaced on the shores on one side of the river.
जाए पार तिन खोज टुंडयो.
And many people then went out to all directions. As we said, the river splits and goes into two of Punjab's main rivers. So Punjab, the land of 5 rivers, as we know now, on our side, the India side rather, has 3 rivers left within there, of which is the Satluj and the Beas. So all the shores where the river surfaced, and men went out and were dispatched to look for Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And after great searching and after going to many places, Guru Nanak Dev Ji could not be found. And then people, because remember Bhai Rattan Singh Ji is telling us the people, it's the way of the world. He must have drowned, he must have surfaced on the land somewhere, he must have been carried away by the river and gone to a faraway place now. So Bhai Rattan Singh Ji telling us basically no one has any idea what's going on. They're all coming up with various theories at the time, and they're all being proved false. And in the house of Jai Ram, in the house of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's brother, in the house of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's sister, because remember, Guru Nanak Dev Ji's father had entrusted Jai Ram with, you look after your brother-in-law Guru Nanak Dev Ji. You look after him, put him into work, put in a good word for him, and get him familiarized with the ways of the world. And Jai Ram now thinks that Guru Nanak Dev Ji has drowned, Guru Nanak Dev Ji has passed away. He was my sister's only brother. He was my in-law's only son. What great tragedy. How will I explain this? And also felt a great sense of personal loss within himself as Baby Nanak Ji. And so a great amount of grief befell upon their household that day.
Daulat Khan,
and Daulat Khan, who became a great believer of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So it said Daulat Khan, who remember we said was a Muslim, that he, as the ruler of Sultanpur, was blessed by Guru Nanak Dev Ji, that his rule would become even greater still, and he eventually became the governor of Lahore, which is one of the crown jewels within the Mughal Empire of the time. So even he at this time thinking that I had got to know this divine personality of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and has Guru Nanak Dev Ji really gone now? Has Guru Nanak Dev Ji really left me? And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us this was the scene for 1 or 2 days. In Jai Ram's house, everyone is coming to do absos, everyone is coming to give their condolences. Guru Nanak Dev Ji's family is immersed within grief. The king's men have been searching in vain, and Daulat Khan himself now is in this great doubt, in this great dubda, following the loss of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us now 1 day has passed and even 2 days have passed. And on the 3rd day, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us that as if by some miracle, Guru Nanak Dev Ji appeared. So Bhai Rattan Singh Ji describes Guru Nanak Dev Ji as having a covering around their waist and a parna around their mudda. So if we, this was the normal way that people would go to bathing. They wouldn't wear just shorts. They would make sure that they had a longer covering around their knee, and they would cover their shoulders as well. So if we look even, for example, in the Buddha Rahat Maryada, it says that when someone does Ishnan and when someone gets ready, and at the point of which you change your kashera, your shoulder should be covered. So this is the old Maryada that Gosikhs had. And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says that as Guru Nanak Dev Ji came out of the Beas in this way too, they had their shoulders covered. But Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says Guru Nanak Dev Ji did not speak. They came out there and they appeared as a figure who was static, who was stationary. And in this way, from far away, people observed the scene of Guru Nanak Dev Ji standing by the shore now. And as people had come to hear that Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who people had spoke of as this great saint, and now people have told us that he is dead, he has drowned, he has disappeared, has suddenly surfaced. People, as they began hearing this news, ran from their homes to see what had unfolded on the shores of the Beas, on the shores of the Nadi at the time. And people go to engage with Guru Nanak Dev Ji. People go to speak with Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Now, एक गल है साध संगत जी भी आपां दीवान च बैठे एक कथा सुनते हैं. एक बेनती मैं करूँगा. Whenever you go to Punjab, go to this site. The next time you go to Punjab, don't wait ਵੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਗਲੀ ਵਾਰ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਜਾਣਾ, especially if you haven't done it, ਸੁਲਤਾਨਪੁਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕਰੋ, ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਥਾ ਹੁਣ ਸਰਵਣ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, the history that we are hearing, ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੂਹਰੇ ਆਉਣੀ ਆ ਸਾਰੀ। ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਬੇਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਉਹ ਨਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, where Guru Nanak Dev Ji used to meditate, where the Moti Khaana was. One thing is just hearing those stories, it is another thing actually going there, experiencing those there, taking your families there. Then you realize, this isn't history that's written in books, this is the tradition that is still alive, and the light that Guru Nanak Dev Ji has initiated on this earth is still bright and shining. So make sure when you go to Punjab that you do yatra of Sultanpur next time. Hanji.
Jai Ram sun ke turat satayo.
And as soon as Jai Ram heard that Guru Nanak Dev Ji had come, as quick as he could, he ran to that spot to meet with Guru Nanak Dev Ji.
Daulat Khan achambo ayo.
And Daulat Khan, who was greatly shocked to hear the news that Guru Nanak Dev Ji had been operating his Modi Khaana and had disappeared for a few days, had resurfaced, and he too made his way towards Guru Nanak Dev Ji.
Dohra Daulat Khan pi ja pujyo liayo saath lawai.
And Daulat Khan came there with many people to meet with Guru Nanak Dev Ji.
Babe moh kuch nahe kare rahyo Khan moh paye.
But Guru Nanak Dev Ji did not speak to anyone. O gambhirta de vich si. Hanji.
Tab Daulat ne Hakim bulaye.
And worried that Guru Nanak Dev Ji had perhaps become overcome by some physical illness by being in the water. Worried that people were saying that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was mad and maybe they had had a turning for the worst. In this way, Daulat Khan was playing through all the scenarios in his mind that might explain Guru Nanak Dev Ji's silence at this time, and worried that there might be some illness to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. He called for a doctor, a Hakim.
Mat kat nanak rog santai.
But Guru Nanak Dev Ji had no illness. Guru Nanak Dev Ji had no disease. They came into this world to cure our illnesses, to cure our disease, to cure our dukh, to be here as a shining light in Kaljug that we can take strength and inspiration from.
Agyo babe baid samjhaya.
And Guru Nanak Dev Ji now explains to the doctor, Hanji.
To fir Daulat manpati aaya.
And then Daulat Khan became assured. When Guru Nanak Dev Ji said to the doctor, don't worry about checking me, I'm not ill. There is nothing wrong with me. There is no illness that I have that you are able to cure.
Mulla Kaji Babe so kahe.
And Daulat Khan then accepted this to be a miracle. So in Islam, one of the signs of divinity that happens many times is a miracle. There is a great belief in a miracle. Same within Christianity. Before someone is proclaimed a saint, there must be tales of miracles. Those tales of miracles must be verified. They're sent to the Vatican and someone is then appointed as a saint. So when many people began to see these miracles of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, even the faithful Muslims considered Guru Nanak Dev Ji to be a peer, to be a saint. However, some people display miracles in order to, or illusions or tricks, in order to make people think that they are holy people. And the Qazis and the Mullahs at this time began to spread rumors that Guru Nanak Dev Ji is not a saint, Guru Nanak Dev Ji is not a man of God, he is a man who practices magic. Because whereas miracles were seen as a sign of divinity, magic is seen as a sign of the devil. So, O Guru Nanak Dev Ji nu jadugar kahi jande si, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji is practicing magic and he is disappearing, and in this way he has got even the Muslim nobles, the Muslim rulers and many devout Muslims as his followers. Hanji.
Drisht band gar jadu kahe.
And in this way they say Guru Nanak Dev Ji practiced a disappearing act to fool people such that they would think that he was a great saint.
Unki daulat mani na baat.
But Daulat Khan did not listen to them. So sometimes with these types of people who preach religious hatred, to preach against other people, if we are truly faithful, if we were truly devoted, if we believe in the one God and that God is common to everyone and that God can appear in whichever form of their choosing at that time, then we can't really listen to those people who instill hatred within us, to instill discrimination within us and tell us that our way alone is true and the other people are all practicing falsehood and hypocrisy. This is not the way of Sikhi, this is not the way of Dharam, and really is not the way of religion either. But anyway, Guru Nanak Dev Ji's time, as these people became jealous of the glory of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and that people from within all faiths of Hindus and Muslims were taken to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the priests and the religious officials at the time began spreading this hatred and rumors against Guru Nanak Dev Ji.
ਉਸ ਬਾਬੇ ਪਰ ਭਇਓ ਇਤਕਾਤ
But it made no difference to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Guru Nanak Dev Ji was Purana Akal Purkh. They were the Jyot of Nirankar. They were Aap Narayan Kala Tar Jag Main Parvaryo. Uda na ghat hai, na baad hai, na ghat baad hod hai. Or as we read in Vedas every day, Je sab milke aakhan pahe, vada na hove, ghat na jaye. Whether we all say Guru Nanak Dev Ji was great, whether we all say the opposite, it makes no difference to Guru Nanak Dev Ji and who they were. Hanji.
यह है पूरन पुरुष अवतारी.
That Guru Nanak Dev Ji was recognized as the Puran avatar of Kal Yug. They were recognized as Nirankar. They were recognized as that avatar who was great and had come to liberate all and show the path of Dharam on this time.
भयो मुरीद वह सन परवारी.
And murid is the word for a Muslim disciple. And it said that these people became the murids of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. They became the disciples of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Hanji.
हिंदू तुर्क बाबे को समसर.
And the Hindus too became followers of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, because Guru Nanak Dev Ji did not discriminate between the Hindu and the Muslim. So as the founder of the Sikh faith, we use this word very often. What does it mean to be the founder? The founder means to be the one who started it. What does it mean to be the follower? The follower is the one who follows the one who started it. Guru Nanak Dev Ji started this path of non-discrimination, that we will look upon Hindus and Muslims alike. We will spread the path of truth. And if someone wants to follow that or take to that and recognize that, they're welcome to do so. We won't see them as one or the other.
होहे मुरीद आए सौ इमकर.
And in this way, many people became the followers of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and would come from far away to meet with Guru Sahib.
दोवन को गुर सच दृढ़ावे.
And to each of them, Guru Nanak Dev Ji imparted upon them the path of truth. So if we look at two Sakhiyan very quickly, one story of when the Musliman said to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, if God is one, then why don't you pray with us? And Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, well, you're not praying yourself. He said to the Qazi, you're in your mind, ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੂੰ ਕਾਬਲ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਘੋੜਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਸੌਦਾ ਕਰਨਾ, ਤੂੰ ਨਮਾਜ਼ ਪੜ੍ਹਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਉਹ ਸੌਦਾ ਕਰਦਾ? In its essence, he is saying, are you praying or are you contemplating upon your business deal? Because you're not praying, so why are you asking me if I'm praying? If we're just reading scriptures blindly and not processing, taking in or absorbing or following those things, because our mind is elsewhere, it's like school, how you turn up for school. In that way, when we were engaging in the practice of our religion and spirituality, the mind has to turn up. It has to show up. It has to be present and be noted on the register. And similarly, then when Guru Nanak Dev Ji joined in at Hindu place at Jagannath Puri, where we have the Aarti, and the Aarti being done of Murtiyan, Guru Nanak Dev Ji says that why are you praying to a small statue when the Lord encompasses the entire universe? So they say little knowledge is dangerous. We say Guru Nanak Dev Ji abolished the tradition of Aarti. Yet there are so many Shabads and Guru Sahib's Bani and all these old Sikh traditions where Aarti is done every day after Reras. Guru Nanak Dev Ji didn't abolish the tradition of Aarti. They spread the message of the worship of Nirankar, the Nirankar who encompasses the world, the Nirankar whose very form is this world, moving people away from worship of stones and statues. So in this way, Guru Nanak Dev Ji did not discriminate. They gave the message of truth equally to Hindus and Muslims. To both of them, he said, don't oppress one another. We look back for a few hundred years, for hundreds of years, if not 900 years, the history of India is the history of Muslims oppressing Hindus. If we look at what the history of the next 900 years might be, it might be parts of that are the opposite thing happening. Because they have this thing sometimes of the majority oppressing the minority. And sometimes it doesn't matter what religion or what color you have in there, it's a human thing that happens. And in this way, Guru Nanak Dev Ji tried to enlighten humanity to a higher ideal, to a higher way of living, and telling them, don't oppress one another, don't zulm, don't do injustice to one another. And in this way, Guru Nanak Dev Ji sought to instill a more peaceful mindset and mentality in society at that time.
ਜਿਮ ਜਿਮ ਬਰਕਤ ਭਈ ਮਸ਼ਹੂਰੋ.
And as Guru Nanak Dev Ji's glory grew, as Guru Nanak Dev Ji became more famous,
ਆਏ ਲੋਕ ਬਹ ਸੁਨ ਸੁਨ ਦੂਰੋ.
from great distance, people would come from far, far away to meet with Guru Nanak Dev Ji, to have Guru Nanak Dev Ji's darshan.
ਦੋਹਰਾ ਦੌਲਤ ਕੈ ਦੋਇ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਉਤੀ ਸੁਤਨ ਬੇਗੈਰ.
Daulat Khan, who was the governor of Sultanpur, was without child. So he had 2 wives, but neither of his wives had a child.
ਕੀਨੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਉਨ ਅਛੈ ਦੋਇ ਦੋਇ ਜਨਮੇ ਸ਼ੇਰ.
And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us that Daulat Khan and his family, so not just the Muslim ruler, but his wives as well became servants and sevaks of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and they performed seva of Guru Nanak Dev Ji in a very respectful and a very loving manner. And in this way, both of those begums, both of those Muslim princes who were without child, gave birth to 2 sons each.
ਚੌਪਈ ਗਾਜੀ ਖਾਂ ਗਜ ਮਸਤ ਸੁਖਾਨ.
Gaji Khan and Gaj Mast were the name of 2 of the brothers.
ਮੀਰ ਖਾਨ ਔ ਜੋਲ ਖਾਂ ਮਾਨ.
And Mir Khan and Jolma Khan were the other 2 names. So even in Sikh history, we find Muslim warriors fought in the Sikh armies. We had Panth Khan, who we knew turned against Guru Sahib as well. But we had a Guru Gobind Singh Ji's time, Pir Buddhu Shah and his army of 500 people, and his sons who gave Shahidi with Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji. From the times of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, there were Muslims who were disciples of the Sikh household. Now that's a very difficult thing to comprehend, but if we look at who the Guru was, how they carried themselves, the message that they gave, and how people took to that message, we realize that actually in all of these Muslim countries around the world where we find Gurdwara of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the locals maintain them, the locals maintain those traditions. Bhame Guru Nanak Dev Ji nu Peer Mannaya. If we go into Buddhist parts of North India, Nepal, Tibet, we see in whichever tradition or religion people worshipped, they recognized Guru Nanak Dev Ji as an expression of the divinity in that form. And in this way, the Muslims at the time too recognized Guru Nanak Dev Ji as such a being.
ਉਨ ਨਾਰਨ ਵੱਡ ਚਰਚਾ ਤੋਰੀ.
And in this way, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹੁਣ ਆਮ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕੋਈ ਕਹਿ ਦਵੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਬਾਬਾ ਆ ਵੀ ਉਹਨੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਵਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ 2 ਪੁੱਤ ਹੋਏ, ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਭੱਜ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਗੇ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕੰਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਫੂਕ ਮਾਰੇ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਖਾਣ ਨੂੰ ਸਵਾਹ ਦੇਵੇ, even if he gives you poo to eat. These are the things that happen in India when people hear of someone can bestow gifts. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji did not really give us such traditions. We have in our traditions Baba Buddha Ji, we have in our traditions the tradition of seva, we have in our tradition the seva of Gurbani Jap, where we can ask our Guru directly for such blessings. And when Guru Nanak Dev Ji became known as that being who can fulfill people's blessings, ਜਦੋਂ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਜਾਣਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਇੱਛਾ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਸ਼ਰਧਾ ਜਾਂ ਇੱਛਾ ਧਾਰ ਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਚਰਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ, ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਦੂਰੋਂ ਨੇੜਿਓਂ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਕੋਲ ਆਉਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਜੀ। ਹਾਂਜੀ।
ਕਹੈ ਬਾਬੇ ਦਈ ਹਮਜੋਰੀ.
And the Begums began telling everyone else, Guru Nanak Dev Ji blessed us with 2 sons, and in this way many more followers took to Guru Nanak Dev Ji's path and teachings.
ਦੋਹਰਾ ਬਾਬੇ ਕੈ ਜੀ ਇਮਹੁਤੀ ਕਿਛ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਗੁਪਤ ਸੰਸਾਰ.
Guru Nanak Dev Ji's own mind was thinking, if only I could stay isolated in this world, if only I could be an unknown person in this world, meditating in God, spending my life in love of that divine being, and not having to immerse myself in the people, in society, in the ways of this world.
ਸੋ ਤੋਂ ਪ੍ਰਗਟ ਜਗ ਭਇਓ ਜਗ ਉਠ ਪਰ ਗਇਓ ਖਿਆਰ.
But Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us at this point Guru Nanak Dev Ji's glory had become known in the world. So remember we said that this event is often described as the enlightenment of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, or it is taught in schools as a key point in the Sikh faith. Bhai Rattan Singh Ji too says after this happened, after Guru Nanak Dev Ji disappeared for 3 days, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji came back and began saying, there is no Hindu, there is no Muslim, all are one to me, and giving people the message of Sach, Aad Sach, Jugad Sach, Happy Sach, Nanak Hosi Pi Sach. Because when we look in depth of what Bhai Rattan Singh Ji is telling us, this is what they are telling us Guru Nanak Dev Ji gave us that teaching of the time. Just like before Bhai Rattan Singh Ji told us that Guru Nanak Dev Ji would have their child companions say Sat Kartar, to meditate on that truth. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji's glory at this point is now known throughout the world, and these thinking of staying isolated or unknown or gupt, secret, this no longer merits any prospect.
Chaupai Pan Chadyo Kim Chanyo Rahe.
Bhai Rattan Singh Ji, who remember, for those of you who have heard the Katha previously, will know that Bhai Rattan Singh Ji often ends his prasang with many beautiful metaphors. And here he gives us the metaphor of the sun, of when does the sun ever stay unknown?
Lakh Badal Jo Tampyo Chahe.
Even if hundreds of thousands of clouds, dark clouds, cover the entire skies, it's still daylight. They are still unable to deliver that amount of darkness that comes when night falls, when the sun sets. And this is the teaching then that we take from this. If we have Guru Sahib in our life, Guru Sahib is that sun. Even if hundreds of thousands of clouds fall upon us, it will not deliver that darkness of the dark night, because the Guru is that sun. And in this way, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says that Guru Nanak Dev Ji, despite any wishes that they as an individual might have had to stay secret within the world, to stay as an unknown within the world, as that light shining dark, as the Guru, their glory would be known just as the sun, as daylight is known, whether there is a clear sky or hundreds of thousands of clouds.
Jem Babe Ki Charcha Pai.
And as Guru Nanak Dev Ji's story spread, charcha, ਹੁਣ ਆਮ ਆਪਾਂ ਚਰਚਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਨਿੰਦਿਆ ਚੁਗਲੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਕਲੇਸ਼ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜੋ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਦੋਂ ਸਾਧੂ ਸੰਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਚਨ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਉਦੋਂ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਕਹਾਵਤਾਂ ਸਾਖੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ. And in this way, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji is telling us, here's something beneficial to talk about, because you can learn from it, you can be inspired from it, you can take lessons from it within your own life. And after this point, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says, in a very short time, the glory of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the charcha of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and the stories of Guru Nanak Dev Ji spread in a very quick manner. Whoever would come to see Guru Nanak Dev Ji would receive the warmth from the fire of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So Bhai Rattan Singh Ji, again using a beautiful metaphor, says, like the person who is cold, when the fire appears, would they not want to go towards that fire from warmth? Like us, as people who have suffering within this world, who experience pain within this world, who experience desire within this world, who experience anger within this world, who experience hatred and heart and everything else that we do as humans within the world, when we have the Puran Satguru who can provide us solace and peace from all of these things, would we not come to Satguru in the same way that the person who is cold seeks warmth from the fire? Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says at those times people were so dukhi. Remember, no one had ever said that Hindus and Muslims are the same. No one had ever said that humanity was one. At that time, all you had was a culture of hatred and oppression. And whatever pains people had when they came to see Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they left that place full of peace and happiness. And the Siddhs, the great Hindu holy men, the Turks, the Musulman, each of these people became devotees of Guru Sahib. Any of these people though, when they had some Shakti, when they had some spiritual powers for themselves, all came to see Guru Nanak Dev Ji, to test Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Hearing of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's greatness, all such people would come to meet with Guru Sahib. Each of these people would try and show their bal, each of these people would try and show their power to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, that if Guru Nanak Dev Ji is a holy man, let us go to meet with him, show Guru Nanak Dev Ji our power, so that Guru Nanak Dev Ji becomes our disciple.
अजमतियन अजमत देवै ज्ञानियन ज्ञान सुनाए.
Those who would come seeking miracles or powers or other such blessings would be given those by Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and those who came seeking knowledge of the truth from Guru Nanak Dev Ji will be given that. Again, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji is telling us, when we come to our Guru, whatever it is that we seek with sincerity from our Guru, we will be given.
जैसी मनसा कर आवे तैसो दे समझाए.
Whatever mansa, whatever ichha one has within their mind, whatever they want, they are given by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So here the prasang ends. The next couple of prasang deal with the udasis of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. The Katha is all online for those of you who want to catch up with the Katha on the Khalsa Panth UK YouTube page and on SoundCloud. So remember, don't just listen to Katha once a month or once a week. This is something that is within the daily discipline of Pratan Gursikhs. And there are many grants, there are many Kathas, Nityanim Bani, Japji Sahibs and Suraj Parkash, etc. that are all happening in English, and make the effort to listen to these in Punjabi. So what we will do is read the last 2 lines of the prasang, and here we will do Samafti, we will finish the Katha, and then after that I have an Sahib and Ardas. So Sad Sangat Ji, if we've made any mistakes in the Katha, we seek your blessings and your forgiveness for the continuation of this Katha. And the purpose of this Katha is what? In the same way that the glory of Guru Nanak Dev Ji spread throughout the world and those people became devotees of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, in that same way may that glory of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and of the Gursikhs spread in our hearts. May we take to that message कि ਆਪਾਂ ਵੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਸੁਖ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਆਪਣਾ ਲੋਕ ਸੁਖੀਆ ਪਰ ਲੋਕ ਸੁਹੇਲਾ ਹੋਵੇ.
ਦੋਹਰਾ अजमतियन अजमत देवै ज्ञानियन ज्ञान सुनाए. जैसी मनसा कर आवे तैसो दे समझाए.
वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहेगुरु जी की फतेह. गज के जयकारे गजावे निहालो जावे, साहिब श्री गुरु नानक देव जी नूं पावे निहालो जावे. सत श्री अकाल. वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहेगुरु जी की फतेह.